Hi everyone, it's Ms. Hassan, and I'm going to talk about data, landmarks, and organization. First off, I'd like to just talk about data. Data can be on anything. For example, you might have data on how many people at Windsor have dogs, and a poll of what pets people at Windsor might own. Or you might have data on what snacks fifth graders like to eat after school, like we did earlier in the last unit. Another form of data could be polling students and asking them what their favorite subject is. Each of these examples can give you a lot of data. Once you've acquired all of this data, what do you do with it? Well, data, landmarks, and organization is one way to analyze data. Let's talk about landmarks first. Minimum, maximum, median, mode, mean or average, and range are all examples of landmarks. If we look at the title of our data, it says numbers of days on vacation in 2013. This is a poll of a poll that fifth graders answered on how many days they went on vacation in 2013. So let's go ahead and try to find the landmarks for this data. The first thing that we want to do is put this data in numerical order. So let's go ahead and do that. This is going to make it a lot easier for us to answer the questions. Okay, my text box working and recording at the same time, using Explain Everything. So here we go. We have 0, then we have 1. It's going to do these periods. 0, then 1, then we have 3. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest on my own. Okay, that saved time. I want to note two things. First of all, as I started writing all my numbers in numerical order, I noticed that it was getting a little confusing. So I started crossing off the ones that I did and then crossing them off as I went on. For example, I did the 0 and then I crossed off the 0. The 1 and then I crossed off the 1. This made it sure that I got all of them and I didn't miss any. And I didn't make any mistakes. The other thing I'd like to note is that I added every single number. Even if there were multiples, that's important in our data, so we can't just get rid of it. We have to list every number that the data has given us. To be sure you've listed them all, count them. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because I crossed them off and because I counted, I think I did a really good job. So let's go ahead and talk about our data now. So first off, let's talk about the minimum. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's the number that is the least or the smallest. So since I put them in order, this makes it very easy for us. We know that that is 0. The maximum is just the opposite. It is the largest number, which is 9. The median is a little bit different. This is the middle number. So we have to cross off or check off each number until we have our middle number. So let's do that. 0, 9, 1, 7, 3, 7, 4, 6. Oh, we have our middle number. It's 5. Now if you have two numbers in the middle, you pick the one that's in between those numbers. Often the data might give you one of the same number and then you would just choose that number. Another thing you can do is take the average of the two numbers in the middle to find your median. We'll get to how to find an average in just a few minutes. First, let's talk about mode. Mode is the number that shows up the most. So if we look at all of these numbers, there's one number that shows up twice, and that's 7. So 7 is our mode. All right, the median. The median isn't as easy as all of the other ones. It's a multi-step problem. To find a median or a mean or average, you must add up all of your data. That's all the numbers in your data. And then you divide by the number that there are. So let's say that again. Okay, so the mean or average is when you add all the numbers in your data set and divide by the amount that there are. So if we add 0 plus 1 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 7 plus 9, we get 42. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers in total. So then we divide 42 by 9, and I used a calculator. We often use a calculator to find the mean. And we don't have to, but we often are working with decimals when we divide to find the mean, so a calculator is sometimes the best tool to use. So we divide, and we got 4 and 6 repeating, which I rounded to the nearest hundredth and got 4.67. So our mean is 4.67. That is the average number of days that 5th graders went on vacation. All right, the range. The range also takes a little bit of calculation, but it's not as complicated as the mean. The range is the difference between the largest and the smallest number in your data set. So to calculate the range, we subtract the maximum from the minimum. So if we subtract the maximum minus the minimum, we get 9, and 9 is our range. Well, I hope this helps on trying to find landmarks for data. Please use this as a reference whenever you need it. Thanks. Now I'd like to talk about the organization part of the data landmarks and organization. Well, organization is really how are you going to present this data in a graph that helps you analyze it. There are so many different ways. Last unit we looked at circle graphs and percent graphs. We've looked at bar graphs. In this unit I want to remind you of 2 other ways to organize data that you have seen in the past. Here we have a line plot and a tally table. So the line plot lists the numbers that you will use in your data and places X's on top representing how many of each number was used in your data. And a tally table marks what you polled. So here it's favorite pets. The tally marks for each amount, and the number that represents the tally marks. Both gives you a table to look at and analyze the data. It's very clear to see where the minimums and the maximums are. It's up to you which type of organization is best for your data. Think about the range, the maximum, the median, the mode. Which table would best suit you? If you notice in the line plot of number of pets in each household that the X's represent the number of pets or the household with that number of pets. So right away we can see what the maximum, the median is. There were way more houses that had 1 pet than there were that had 14 or even 6 pets. So because there are multiple X's in the same, or there is more than, how do I phrase this? Because there are the same results for the same numbers, this graph was really good to compare because we have a lot of zeros, a lot of ones, a lot of twos, a lot of threes, a lot of fours, and you were able to plot your X's so that you can see that data. Whereas over here it's similar, but we're using tallies. Also, it's important to see what each graph has and doesn't have. This graph has a clear picture of what you were polling, whereas this one's represented by X and explained over here. Well, this wraps up my video on data landmarks and organization. I hope that this helps. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And let's do the workshop.